Hey, how we doing today, guys? Brian Maples back with another video. Hope you're all doing well. Before we get started, if you guys haven't already, please subscribe. It truly helps me out. I'd appreciate that. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into what we're going into today. Um, I wanted to talk a little bit, and this is just, sometimes you get into a rut. Sometimes you get into a point where you just don't know what to talk about, even though it's almost like music, right? You have millions of songs you can listen to, and sometimes you've just kind of listened to the songs and you're just kind of tired of them and you don't really know, but there's always new music. Just you get this, brain block where you can't seem to find any good music. I kind of feel like you run into that too as a creator. Even though there's so many topics I haven't covered. So yeah, any ideas you guys have want to throw out there, I'd appreciate that. But so today I'm going to talk about something a little different. I'm going to talk about just personality types and what my personal personality type is. Doesn't make any sense. What my personality type is, and I encourage you guys to kind of, go find out about yourself a little bit. Find out what it is that makes you tick. I took this personality test. I think it was last year, and you're not always that same personality necessarily throughout life. Things change, your perspectives change. But the interesting part was when I took it a year ago, I was a certain personality type, and I feel like some of my, I guess, I've definitely evolved. I've changed. I mean, everybody does change over time. Some things still stay the same though, and I think, I thought to myself, well, maybe this time I'll be a different personality, right? And I almost felt like I answered differently some of the questions that I got, and it came up with the exact same personality. So I'm and I've read the profile on this, and I'm pretty certain it's me. Like it describes me. It's almost scary how it describes some of the ways I think and do things, and it's actually a very rare personality. It's one of 3% of the population actually has a personality. I'm an ENTP. Now, for those of you that don't know what that means, if you've never taken the Briggs Myers or the Briggs Myers test, you can take that for free. It's at www.1616personalities.com. Feel free to check it out. I think it can really give you some interesting information. This is the website here, 16personalities.com. So I was actually looking over, weaknesses and strengths. And I've looked at this before. And even though I think these numbers on the right, if you look, for me, they're on the right. Over here can change. It still came out the same, which was very interesting. It has some great strengths to have this personality type. I think I do have some great strengths. However, it also has some really big drawbacks. I'll talk about those as well, just to be transparent. But I'm interested to know what you guys are, what your personality type is, because I feel like my personality type is very much set up to be an entrepreneur. Um, and I'll get into the strengths and weaknesses here in a moment. And I've read quite a bit about this, and again, some of it, so much of it is me. But the nice part is when you recognize that, especially the weaknesses and the bad parts, or the undesirable parts in you and your personality, it gives you an opportunity to address those things and change those things. That's what I try to do. I try to be conscious of those and try not to repeat my mistakes, and try to be more sensitive to people's feelings, because my personality type um, is very much into what makes sense, the facts, not so much in what you feel. What you feel doesn't necessarily factor so much into it, but it doesn't mean I don't have feelings. I do. I care about people very deeply, but it comes off really bad, and I'll go into that in a moment. It almost sounds like an ENTP is a kind of a dick. I'm be honest with you. The ENTPs can definitely be that. I've been that at times, but again, I've definitely come a long way from when I was younger. When I was younger, I didn't really know myself as well as I do now. Not that completely, I completely know myself, but I have a pretty good idea of my shortcomings. I'm still working on it every day. I'm a human being like everybody else. I try to be, again, more sensitive. I try to be more sensitive to people's needs. Sometimes that can go along the wayside, though, as you'll see when we talk about this. But without further ado, let's go ahead and check this out. So, it actually, and I'm not going to read this word for word, but some of the things it actually says, and this is interesting, ENTPs often have both intuition and sheer brain power to do very well in entrepreneurship or as business leaders. In fact, this type of position is usually the most natural one, and they're usually grateful once they can leave the daily grind and start following their intuition in this way. And that right there is so very true. Now that I'm out of the daily grind and I can kind of just create and do things my way, I feel so much better. It's really a passion for me at this point, and I love to do what I do. I absolutely love selling. I love doing the Amazon. I love doing e-commerce. Just love it. I love getting up every day and doing it because it allows so many different avenues and ideas to flow. And I am very much not a day to day type of worker. I've never have been. Just to give you some silly examples, like when I was like a landscaper. I did like tough work. Like I dug ditches. I did really hard work. I hated every second of it, but I did it. Um, I've done those blue collar bust your butt jobs, and they're not easy jobs. I have full respect for people that do this type of work. But there was like this really big hill. Just this is just an example of like things I was trying to do, and we were pushing a wheelbarrow up a hill, and I'm thinking, why the hell are we pushing a wheelbarrow up a hill? There's extra weight there, and this hill was very steep, and we're taking mulch up the hill. Well, we had these huge burlaps, and if you don't know what a burlap is, it's just this big, huge blanket, right? And you can put weeds or whatever in them, and then you can, bundle them up, put it over your shoulder, and you can throw it in the back of the truck, right? Grass, whatever you sweep up. So these burlaps are big; they can hold as much as a wheelbarrow. So I was putting in the mulch on a burlap, and I was wrapping it up, and I was taking it up this huge hill, and it was much easier. It was over my shoulder. I wasn't pushing a wheelbarrow up a hill. The grass was wet. There was dew. It was the morning, and I'm slipping with this wheelbarrow, and it just didn't make any sense at all. It just didn't make sense. I figure not only can I go faster, I can make more trips, but I can carry just as much in this burlap as I can in the wheelbarrow, right? And I'm doing less weight. It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense in my mind. The guy I was working for did not like that. Got really pissed off. You know, Made me do it with the wheelbarrow, and I never understood why people never look for better ways to do things, right? And that's just always been my mind, the way my mind works. I'm always looking for better ways to do things. So that's kind of it's definitely me. It definitely fits my personality. That's very much what an ENTP does. If you've ever come across one, if you're aware of that they are an ENTP. So let's talk about some of the strengths, and I would agree with most of this stuff. Um, Knowledgeable. Um, I think I'm knowledgeable in very much, and I like it says like abstract concepts. Like I think I'm very knowledgeable in many different things across the board. I'm very interested in learning about new things, and I do that. The way I personally do that is I do it through conversation. Now, conversation to me is kind of like defending one side or the other, and people don't necessarily understand that or take that well. They think I'm trying to argue with them, and I guess you kind of are, but it's not like I'm trying to argue with you to make you feel bad. I'm trying to get knowledge from you. So that's the way we gain knowledge. We do it through what some people would consider argumentative. I'm just trying to learn about your topic, about different things. And sometimes it can come out as very interesting, especially when you first meet somebody who's an ENTP, because they're very much want to know about a topic. What's interesting is it may come off as they want to know about you, which I do. I do want to know about the person, but I'm also searching for new knowledge all the time. So, and I do very much like people that are constantly creating and coming up with new ideas. That's very much me. So people like me, I very much am attracted to as far as talking with. Quick thinkers. I would say that's me. I can be a very quick thinker. Um, I can come up with points pretty quickly to defend my argument or defend, and not even necessarily defend, but to basically I can break it down and I can play devil's advocate, which is a huge thing with the NTPs. Meaning sometimes, and I found myself doing this, which was just hilarious, and it's also probably completely silly to some people, is that I literally have argued points for things I just don't believe in at all. So, right, you play devil's advocate, meaning, for those of you that might not know what that means, just means that, like, you're pretty much presenting the other side of it just for the hell of it, just to prove that there's another side to this and to see it from another perspective. So, you tend to be very good at that as an ENTP. I would definitely agree with that. I have found myself arguing over, not even arguing, just debating things, um, and that's what we're called, debaters. Um, Debating things for just for the fun of it, and that can drive people crazy. I can understand why. Um, So original thinking, raw creativity. That's definitely me. Um, Very much why I love being an entrepreneur. Just doing different things. Always coming up with new ideas, product ideas. That's very much up my alley. Brainstormers. I think again, I'm very good at this. I feel like I am. Um, I don't want to sound overly confident, but I feel like I'm pretty good at brainstorming, coming up with new ideas. At least that's what drives me. That's what kind of my passion is, right? Um, you can be the judge of whether or not I'm any good at it if you've ever seen one of my lists. Charismatic, I can be. I can also be an introvert at times. It just depends on my mood. Sometimes I just want to kind of be left alone. Other times I'm very much more of an extrovert than an introvert, but I can do both. So I guess if I have to be, I can be charismatic. I don't know. That's something that I think should be judged by other people, not necessarily myself. Energetic, I can be very energetic. It depends on if I'm doing something that I actually am very interested in and something that lets me have the freedom to do what I want to do. So I would definitely agree with that, unless I'm doing like a regular day to day task, and that just can drive me insane. So weaknesses. This is gonna make me sound really bad. No ENTPs. It's gonna make them sound really bad, but they can sound pretty harsh. But keep in mind that I am aware of these, and I try my best to be better at this and not to be come off as a jerk. Doesn't always work out that way, but so very argumentative. I talked about this. I don't think people understand that we're not trying to argue. We're trying to have a debate to gain knowledge. Um, it's an intellectual stimulus. It's not about trying to make you feel bad, but that can come off, of course, very bad. So we like to tear down beliefs, methods, as it says, leading to a great deal of tension, especially if you're somebody who's more of a feeling type and doesn't like to have any kind of uh, conflict, I guess. Insensitive, I can see how that would be the case. Misjudge others' feelings, push their pace well past tolerance levels. I've been known to do that. I don't mean to. I think my brother's probably also similar to me, and I grew up having to. He can be really rough sometimes, so I grew up having to defend against him, and just my family in general was very much how we learned and did things. I've had people tell me that we were arguing with each other from the outside, but it never felt like that to me. My blood pressure wasn't rising. I just That's just the way we kind of talk, and it's just a way to go over new ideas and kind of present your arguments. I'm not judging anybody, and I don't mean to be insensitive, but sometimes it can come off that way for sure. Um, Intolerant. See, I don't think I'm intolerant of people. Um, I do stand more in logic than anything. But no, I think I'm very tolerant of people. I think that's a really bad way to put it. I just think and it says here, unless people are able to back up their ideas. So if they just say, you know, I can see how if it would be like if it was an argument and somebody said, or not an argument, you're talking about something and they said, well, that's the way I feel. So, and I would say, well, just because you feel that way doesn't mean that it's right. Okay. So, like, I don't want to, I can't come up with a great example right now, but feeling doesn't make the facts different. And that's probably where you can come off as intolerant, right? So, can you find it difficult to focus? This is a big thing that I've talked to quite a few people about um, in this Amazon game. Very many, a lot of people, and it might go across the board to many different types of personality types. Is that it's difficult to focus, and I found that to be the case very much so. I definitely have difficulty following through and focusing. There's no question about that. I have done that with the Amazon, and I found it to be really relieving to be able to do that. There are certain tasks that I kind of dread, right? I dread setting up the shipping plans. I dread kind of talking and going through the daily tasks of checking your inventory and customer service I can do. It's not so bad, but there's certain tasks I have to do day to day that I do dread. I like to see the bigger picture. I like to create new products. I don't necessarily like to carry out all the little details that go with it, but as an entrepreneur, when you're a one man show, you have to do that, right? So you have to, and I've done a lot of those jobs all my life. As much as I've hated that, and they bore me to death, I've learned the value in following through and doing your. See, that's what I mean. You're not, even though I do find it difficult to focus, it's it's something that I've been able to overcome just through will and just through working at it, and I appreciate the people that execute the plan. And I've done the execution part, so I've been the follower. It's difficult for me to be in that position. I'm not necessarily happy, but I have done the execution of the plan, and I think you earn respect by doing it that way. Um, you can't just be thrust in a position where dictate what goes on. You've got to earn your, at least in my mind, I grew up in a household, or I grew up in an environment where, you have to earn it. You have to earn it, and you have to build yourself up to it. It's not something that's just given to you. Just like practical matters. That's kind of along the same thing. So, you know, we can get all these big details, and we can come up with a great concepts, put everything together. It sounds great, and if we can get people on board, that can be difficult sometimes for us to kind of get that out there. But we tend to lose interest. So just like the little practicalities. But again, I've kind of trained myself to focus on that because it's a necessity, especially as a one-man shop. You have to do that. So you're not. It's not something that you can't do. This isn't define exactly everything you're going to do, but it very much is a good uh, introspection. I think that would be the word, into who you are and to kind of why you do what you do. There's a lot more to this, but it's very interesting that ENTP is very much an entrepreneur. That's very much fits my personality. I understand more about myself. I think that's very important for friendships and strengths and weaknesses, all this stuff, career paths. I think it's very much um, helps me to understand why I do what I do, maybe, or why I am like I am. So, I mean, if you even look at some of the things I've thought about stockbroker, the reason I never went for that, I think that'd be a great job, is because I knew that stockbroking was going towards like online trading, and I knew that the traditional stockbroker was dying. So I never thought about going for that. So you could kind of see that coming. An attorney, I actually went um, I have a history degree. I was actually planning on going to law school. The reason I didn't, and this is my reason getting the better of me, is there were so many lawyers coming out. I didn't want to have to be an ambulance chaser and try to find business because there were so many other lawyers. I didn't want to have to deal with all the competition. So I didn't have the confidence to do that. I should have maybe done that, but so that's something that I think I would have been really good at. Any kind of management, I think I could be good at. ENTP types are very much about letting people have the freedom to come up with their own ideas, and they tend to accept the best one, whether it's mine or yours or whoever's. But I expect the same freedom, and then I expect that the freedom I'm giving everybody else would also be productive, and they come up with good ideas, and we take those ideas and then we choose the best one. So they're not judgmental. I don't think I'm a judgmental person. Very much not a judgmental person. Open to freedom, kind of do your thing, come up with your new and great ideas, new ways to do things. But sometimes there's value in doing things that are just simplistic and just getting it done. And I've had to learn that over the years just to do the job. Push the wheelbarrow up the hill, right? The proverbial hill. I mean, they're literally pushing the wheelbarrow up the hill, even though it didn't make sense. I'm sorry, it just didn't. But that's something I've had to struggle with all my life with these types of things. And I've come from an environment where there's a lot of steel workers, and it was just like shut up and do your job, right? And don't question things, just get your job done. I've never been very good at that. So, but I've done it because work ethic, and that's what you're supposed to do. And I've hated pretty much every second of it, but I've done it. So anyway, very cool. It's definitely something I would check out. List of some of the personality types, or some of the people throughout history: Catherine the Great, Theodore Roosevelt, Sir Walter Raleigh, Thomas Edison, Leonardo da Vinci, Steve Wozniak. Um, so very interesting people. I don't know how, like they say Alexander the Great, Jeb Stuart. It's not like they took that test, but I bet from the things they did, they were able to determine, you know, what they were. I would assume that's how they did it. Socrates, David Hume, Samuel Butler. So really an interesting list. Neil Patrick Harris, Tom Hanks, Benedict Cumberbatch. Um, yeah, really cool. Cool list. Interesting. I encourage you guys to check it out. Know yourself. I think that's very important. I think it will help you better understand where your strengths and weaknesses are, and I think you should pay special attention to your weaknesses as well as your strengths. But work to correct those or make those better, and I think it'll help you become a more well-rounded individual and learn to embrace your strengths and find a job that you know those strengths will do a really good job for you, And in my case, I love doing entrepreneurship. And I don't even think it would matter if I opened up a coffee shop or if I did this. I think I need something to be creative to do. Um, and that's just the way I work, just the way my mind works. So I'm really blessed and really happy I found this. Um, I want to give a shout out to Paul, um, Paul Savage, unbelievable teacher, man, and really the original OG, man. The he was, taught me all the basics of how to do this, and really gave me the confidence that I could do it. And I'm grateful to him. So, anyway, guys, I hope that you found this interesting. Please like and subscribe if you did. Thank you so much for watching, and if you made it this far, look for another video. Have a great day. Have a great night. God bless everybody.